Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. This is my podcast. Appreciate you being here this week. First off, if anyone that is watching or listening currently right now has not taken a second out of their day to rate or review the podcast, I would urge you to do so right now. Whether you're listening to the audio on Spotify or Apple, you have options to give the podcast a rating on there. If you scroll down, you'll find a rating system. Usually it's stars. You could hit 5 stars and rate the podcast 5 stars. That would be a very big help for me. And if you're watching the video episode on YouTube right now, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a comment, like the video, couple of kind words about the podcast, what you enjoy, and that goes a long way for a guy in his basement doing everything by himself, just to help boost the algorithm a little bit more, because we all know how fickle the algorithm could be. In addition to rating and reviewing the podcast, I do a couple other things that I would like to touch on in case you might be interested. First off, I run a book club. So Yin Should Read This Book Club is a book club that I started last year sometime, I think August, that has been ripping and roaring. We have a wonderful group of people that meets once a month at a local bookstore called Woolly Bear Books in Carnegie to discuss that current read of the book that we vote on that month, and it has been going so well. If you are interested in reading and you like the horror genre, the thriller genre, the fantasy, the science fiction genre, the book club is for you. We are accepting new members. We would love to have you come and join. Our next meeting is tonight, March 19th at Woolly Bear. If you have not, obviously you haven't read this book that we read this month, but I urge you, come to the book club. It is a wonderful time. There's a lot of great people, and you could get on track to read next month's book and participate in the next discussion. If you want to learn more about that, go to Instagram, Yins Should Read This, or you could go to the website, yinshouldreadthis.com. Just another thing that I started a while back that I really am passionate about. I'm really having a good time, planning these different sort of fun little events that we've been doing, and just it's great to meet a lot of people that like to read in the city of Pittsburgh. I am a avid Reddit user, and on the Pittsburgh Reddit, I always see people, asking for book clubs on there. So just figured I'd throw it out there for anyone that might be interested. Again, if you are, Yins Should Read This. It is on Instagram. There's a website. You know how to use the internet. Just go on there and type that in, and you will find more information. Or you could just slide in the DMs. Slide in the DMs tell me that you're interested, and I'll give you the breakdown of what's going on. Another interesting thing that is going on. Sunday, March 29th, I am hosting an event in coordination with a lot of other great people at Thunderbird Cafe. It is called the Secret Cinema Club, and it is a event put on by a local illustrator named Derek Rudy and a group of other people involved at Thunderbird Music Cafe down there in Lawrenceville. And this month they are doing a double feature of The Fog and Night of the Creeps with none other than Tom Atkins. So if you're familiar, if you're in the vein of the horror genre, you obviously know who Tom Atkins is. He was in all sorts of shit, Creepshow, The Chief, Halloween 3, but Tom Atkins will be in the building, and I will be hosting a Q&A with this man, which is absolutely mind-blowing to think of. So if you're interested in that, you can go to Thunderbird on Instagram. You can go to Rudy Illustrations on Instagram. You could go to I'll Call You Right Back on Instagram, and you will find a post on there that will give you information about the tickets that are on sale and, kind of more about the event. There's a lot of people participating. Vinegar Syndrome, Three Floyds Brewing, Sinners and Saints Tattoos, and it is a fun event that will be happening in the city on Sunday, March 29th. I think doors open at 5 o'clock, but if you're interested in that, I urge you to come. It's a great time. It's going to be wild. What other option do you have on a Sunday night? Come on out, have some fun, have a drink, watch a couple of good films, and then listen to me talk to Tom Atkins. But The reason that everyone is here this week I sit down with a really, really interesting guest. Arguably the guest that I have been working to get on the podcast longer than anyone. So Jordan Patton is a special effects artist, or monster maker, I guess is the best way to describe him, because he is a man who wears many hats. But I found myself on Jordan's page probably sometime in 2018, whenever he was starting a Kickstarter for his production studio, Deadneck Studios. And it came across my Instagram back then. And being someone that is, obviously trying to find cool guests to have on the podcast, I reached out to Jordan back then. Mind you, this is 8 years ago we're talking now, right whenever I started this podcast. And, messages just got, unread, and, we just didn't make it happen back then. But, my most previous guest, Joe Wyman, the photographer who does tintype photography, he brought up Jordan's name in an episode whenever I recorded with him. And I told him, I was like, dude, I've been trying to get Jordan Patton on this podcast for literally, since I started it. So thankfully to Joe, put me in touch with Jordan. Jordan's on the episode this week, and it was an incredible episode. This guy is talented beyond any sort of words that I could use to describe it. He makes these masks that are just literally insanely, detailed collection pieces that are just like, it's hard to describe how intricate they are. But if you want to learn more and you want to see his work, you can go to Deadneck Studios on Instagram and, check out the episode. Listen to how fascinating this dude's story is, and how someone who, kind of gets into this line of work. Obviously we all watch movies like, John Carpenter's The Thing. We watch movies like, The Substance, which is a newer film that uses these like practical special effects in a way that is just non-comparable to CGI. The practical effects are just fantastic. And, you watch these movies and they're timeless. They stick with you. If you watch American Werewolf in London, American Werewolf in London. I know there's a couple of them. But if you watch American Werewolf in London, you see Rick Baker's werewolf transition. That's something that is going to be talked about forever. And practical effects has a staying power that I think surpasses anything CGI. So it was awesome to get Jordan in here. It was awesome to sit down with him and learn how, someone who's just into, your standard artwork in high school kind of navigates his life and ends up being this incredible special effects artist that has, received so many accolades. He was on that show FaceOff, which is a performance or a competition-based reality show. He was on a couple of seasons. One season, he made it to the championship. We talk all about that. We talk all about Deadneck, which is a production that he's been working on for years, where he just has these characters that he created himself, like a slew of all these different characters that he created in hopes to make a type of TV show that is somewhat like that show Dinosaurs, if you remember that back in the day. I know it's like a fever dream for some people, but that TV show Dinosaurs, it's like people in actual like costumes that are just like in the full getup. But enough about, me trying to sum this all up in a little couple paragraphs. I want you to listen to the episode. It's fantastic. I had a wonderful time talking to him. If you guys are listening to the audio right now, you should hop over to the YouTube, because he brought some of his masks over, and you're able to see them through the YouTube video. And we have them posted up as me and him are having this great conversation. So without further ado, episode 318 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Jordan Patton of Deadneck Studios.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back.
telephone.
I'll call you right back podcast. Yeah, but I was pumped to be able to, like, you know, make this happen because, like, you don't live here anymore?
No, we're down in Parkersburg, West Virginia now, unfortunately. I wish we were still up here, yeah.
Unfortunately, you don't like West Virginia?
No. I mean, it's beautiful down there. Like, there's a lot of cool areas to visit and everything, but just there's not much going on down there, you know, in the aspect of the things that we do, and like we don't have a friend group down there at all. Like, there's no one there that's interested in the type of stuff that we're interested in. But I mean, my family is all down there and everything, so that's good. But we really miss being around friends and just, like, you know, people that are more like us and like the things that we like.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what takes you down to West Virginia?
Yeah, it was my family. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, originally, you're from West Virginia originally?
Yeah. Yes. I'm from Parkersburg, West Virginia. And then I moved up to Pittsburgh in 2009 to go to the Art Institute. I went to the Art Institute for entertainment design, doing special effects. So that's where I picked up and learned a lot of, like, the tricks and trades of, you know, this industry as far as, like, animatronics, special effects, makeup, and things like that.
Yeah, I saw your resume. Like, you have, like, some boom operator on there. Like, you've been part of, like, some other, like, things beyond just special effects.
That's for the IMDb, right?
Yeah.
There must be another Jordan Patton out there somewhere, because I saw that. It's like, this dude's got boom operator on there. I'm like, I mean, I'll take it in my resume for sure.
Oh, okay. But
a few of the other things on there were mine.
Like the survival games or something?
Yeah, it was Survival Knife.
That's it.
There's another one on there that should be coming up soon called Paradise. It's a movie that we worked on like 2 or 3 years ago, but it's coming out whether it be by the end of this year or like early next year.
Wow.
But that'll be a really fun one to see. It was like a West Virginia monster movie.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sign me up. I'm all into it. I love West Virginia in the way that, like, I love to travel down there for
sure.
3-4 days, be in the mountains and the cabins and everything like that. But I like coming back.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I mean, you have a rather unique job. So, like, what would you call yourself right now? Is it just special effects artist? Like, is that an umbrella term?
It's so tough, dude. Like, I go back and forth with so many terms. I just, like, these days I feel like maybe multimedia artist, just because I fluctuate in and out of so many different things. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, special effects artist, multimedia artist, or monster maker.
Yeah.
I keep it simple for people and just go monster maker on that one.
And that's really, dude, like, that's a good way to do it. Cause, like, I'm looking at these masks that are just, like, absolutely insane. And I first came across you just, like, on social media back in 2018.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you have officially beat Sally Wiggin for the longest hunted guest.
No kidding.
Sally Wiggin was 4.5 years.
That's wild.
I hit her up right before COVID, and we didn't make it. I hit her up a year or two before COVID, and then COVID happened. So it was 4 years. But
wow, man,
7 years.
That's crazy.
I know. I'm pumped.
I remember you reaching out, and, like, I don't remember what it was that was happening at the time. Like,
yeah, we were all buzzing, dude.
Too busy or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do remember that when Joe brought it up to me. I was like, no way. I was like, we can actually do this now?
Yeah, man. Cool. So this is cool to me because, like, whenever I seen, like, do me a favor and grab that. Let's put that guy right in the middle here so we could just, like, have the full effect of it. Sure. I'm going to move this strawberry out of here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure with how much room we'd have to bring stuff, so I just brought a handful.
Yeah, dude, we got all the room in the world. Go ahead, toss that guy right in the middle. Cover my logo up. I mean, that guy is... I'd be remiss if I didn't make sure that was on. Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, like, that guy is absolutely insane.
Thanks,
what's the name of that guy?
So this guy is Ted Slackjaw. He is one of many family members in a world that I call Deadnecks. And that's something I've been developing since probably like 2013 or something. So this is, just one of many characters, like I said, and they're all very wacky and reminiscent of, like, 90s cartoons and 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
Kind of, like, collided together.
Yeah. And I think that's what really, like, caught my attention. Like, I've always been a fan of, like, special effects, horror movies in general, but, like, really, I would say, like, my jumping off point was, like, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah.
And obviously Ernest Scared Stupid, recycled some of the masks from
Killer Clowns.
Yeah. So, like, just that, like, vibe of, like, the bubbly cheeks,
super, like, inflated,
melted, like, soupy, just wacky,
almost like caricature, like. Yeah,
caricature. Perfect way to describe it.
It sucked me into, like, it seeing any of those types of things, like the Twilight Zone movie with the rabbit that pops out of the hat.
Yeah.
And just like,
How old are you?
35.
Okay, yeah, we're same age.
Right
So
on.
it's like
Oh, yeah.
we're right in that same wheelhouse. But I mean, like growing up, you know, you're from Parkersburg, West Virginia. Like, first of all, like, is that like a big town? I don't know if I've ever traveled there.
It's a fairly small town. I don't know the population.
Yeah.
We got 2 high schools.
How many people did you graduate with?
I honestly don't even know that.
Yeah, I feel like it's so hard to like gauge the size of things, but you know, I mean, you were saying before that like whenever you move down there, you don't have that much to do down there, right?
Right. It's almost like a small version of Pittsburgh in a way, which made it really easy for me to move up here back in 2009. So it was just like, you know, the next step up. It's like, oh, here's a slightly bigger Parkersburg. But yeah, we've even got like, you know, the point the same as what you've got down here where the rivers split. It's very, the dynamic of Parkersburg is fairly similar to Pittsburgh, but it's a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like growing up, like what kind of shit are you getting into?
All kinds of shit out in the woods, just building ramps, ramping over each other brothers. Like we'd get out the VHS camera and try to film each other, like ramping over top of each other and like starting fires, you know, all that crazy shit down in West Virginia that you can get away with.
I love that. So, I mean, do you have like an initiation to like, you know, special effects and horror and everything from a young age?
Yeah. I mean, I was always fascinated by monsters and horror movies and all of that. So from a very young age, I was watching horror movies like on Sci-Fi Channel. Things would come on, and I would just be like glued to the TV. I couldn't leave. And funny enough, like I didn't even think about the fact that it's someone's job to create these monsters for these movies, and I didn't even think about that until I was in high school.
Yeah.
And then it clicked for me, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's a job that you can do. So I instantly like dove into it and was hooked. The first time I pulled a mask out of a mold, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Well, so I mean, from a young age, like, you know, obviously like getting to high school and like doing this as a career is like, you know, like I said before, a unique type of job. But like, did you always think that you were going to like work in this from a young age?
No.
Like what kind of shit did you think you were going to do after high school?
In high school, I was like back and forth. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something art related. And for a long time, I was working on tattooing and like, you know, learning tattooing. I didn't take the actual apprenticeship route like, you know, you're supposed to and everything. But I was doing that for a little while, you know, on friends, myself, and things like that. Not, you know, tattooing too many people, but just so I could get, you know, the gist of what was going on. And I was doing pretty good at it for a good while. But then I found, you know, mask making, and like that just hooked me like nothing's ever hooked me before. And I instantly gravitated to that. And, you know, I kind of decided tattoo artist or special effects artist, I gotta put my all into one. So
Yeah.
I chose special effects because I figured it had like a more broad, area of things that you could do. Like you got mask making, you got props, you got makeup, you got animatronics, puppets, like set building, like all of that. So I was like, it sounds like something that you would never get bored with, because like if you're bored making masks over here, go make sets for a month. Like, you know, there's all these different trade-offs that you can do. So it just seemed like a more broad like industry that I would be able to find myself in a lot easier.
Well, so if you're in high school, like, did you learn about the Art Institute then?
So I was in class. It's probably like my 10th grade year, 11th grade year. And someone from the Art Institute came down, and they were going through all the programs they had and everything. And I see this like zombie makeup come across the screen, and he says something super short about it and then flips to the next screen. I was like, wait, what was that? I was like, go back to that. I was like, is that a program? He's like, yeah. He didn't know like a whole lot about it. So I researched a little more into it, and I was like, whoa. I was like, you can go to a school to like learn about this stuff. And then shortly after that, I had heard about the Savini school that's also up here.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a back and forth between what school do I go to. I went to the Art Institute just because you get like the bachelor's degree, the 3 years. So I ended up going there instead. But it was a good time while I was there.
If you didn't go there, like, what did you think you were going to do? Besides, like, it was either that or tattooing?
Yeah. If I didn't do this, I'd probably be a tattoo artist right now.
Yeah, because you're, I mean, you're definitely talented with like actual like, you know, drawing and everything like that too. I was looking at some of your sketches, you know, your progress sketches of your characters, and it's dope. I mean, like, that's the coolest part about Procreate is being able to see the time lapse.
I didn't even know about that. I had done like a year's worth of Procreate stuff, and then I heard about that, and I started going back and watching
you're like,
every
these
single
are
thing.
gifts.
It's like, holy shit, like you can watch a time lapse of everything you've done.
Yeah, I just went and got a tattoo from a guy in Pittsburgh named Pete Larkin, who's absolutely fantastic. And we're sitting there, and I was like, look, and he's very like unique at how he tattoos. It's like, it's just like, he has like drippy and like wacky and like weird shit, and like it's what appeals to me. So he has this wild tattoo of a deer rotting with like mushrooms grown out of it that I saw just like on his like portfolio, and I was like, how do you come up with something like that? Because I'm just like naturally very inquisitive. And he was like, well, I could just show you, and he pulls it out, and I'm just like looking through all of his time lapses, and it's just like mind blowing. And I like dabble on it a little bit. I'm no good at it, but I like to be able to just watch that, and seeing some of your stuff is really cool. So obviously you have that route to pursue that type of art, and then tattooing, but like this was what really caught your eye, the Art Institute.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like once like I had a friend before I even went to the Art Institute in high school. I had a friend online through MySpace.
Love it.
I know, right?
I love when MySpace gets brought up on here.
He was making masks out of his garage, and I was like, dude, you can do this from home. Like you don't have to go to school for it. So like I picked his brain a little bit, and then tried making my first mask. I sculpted it out and everything. Spent hours and hours sculpting this thing, and then I went to go make a plaster mold of it, and I was like, oh man, this is the sketchy part, because like you're covering all this work in plaster, like you have to do two parts of it. So I ended up screwing up the mold the first time. I had to chip off the plaster, resculpt a few portions of it, and then the second time we went to go try to mold it, it was successful.
Yeah.
And then we took the mold apart, cleaned the clay out, I poured the latex into it, and then like a day later I pulled the mask out, and like that was the hooking point for me.
What kind of mask was it?
It was actually, there's this band that I currently make masks for.
Mushroom Head, right? Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead. Grab both of them. Let me put both of these up here, because like these need to be on screen. Absolutely unreal, that thing right there.
But funny enough, the very first mask I ever made was a replica mushroom head mask. And when I pulled that out of the mold, like it was just magic to me. I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is how it's done. This is how all these masks that I've loved for years and years since I was a kid, this is how it's done.
Yeah.
And that just like really hooked me. But also, funny enough, with that being my first mask, and now here we are close to 20 years later, or like 15 plus years, I'm here making masks for the band.
Yeah.
And I actually recently got to perform with them on stage on Halloween night.
No shit.
It's like a very full circle moment for me.
Yeah, I know that. I know Joe brought that up a little bit whenever he came over and we were talking. But I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it was cool.
Absolutely insane. Let me just put this right here so it's on screen. There we go. Yeah, if people are listening, we got some cool shit to look at. Go on YouTube and you can see it. But I mean, like. So you poured your first mask, and was that like before you went to school?
Yep. I was still in high school. I was in 11th grade at that point. This was 2008.
So how do you learn how to do that?
I just picked my friend's brain like through MySpace, just messaging.
Okay, yeah.
So I had to try to learn this through him typing out step by step, like what to do, how to mold this shit. And it worked after, my second try of making the mold, and I had to correct things and whatnot. But
wow,
yeah,
that's insane. So that is, like what, 2007, 2008?
Yep.
And I mean, you get out of high school and you're set for the Art Institute.
Oh yeah, like 1 month after I graduated from high school, I was moving up here.
Have you been up here before?
Before I moved up here for the Art Institute, I had come up here once, and it was to go to my first Mushroom Ed show back in like 2006.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
That was at Mr. Small's over in Millville.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great venue. So, I mean, whenever how far is it away from here?
I live in Parkersburg, about 2.5 hours.
Okay, so
not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, whenever you were younger and you were like kind of researching this, and like you saw the Art Institute in the Savini School, I mean, like, what was like the what was the way the Savini School compared to the Art Institute was thought of? Like, was that like because I know that it's like, obviously it's Tom Savini. Right. It has a big name attached to it. But, like, what was that like, making that decision? I know you were talking about it just kind of gave you more opportunity at the Art Institute because you were able to get the accolades with it. But like, was the Savini School like a close second to all that?
It definitely was. I had just gotten more information about the Art Institute at the time from the guy that came there. He gave us pamphlets and everything. We looked into it a little bit further. And with it being, an extended program, like several years versus the Savini program, I think is maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the deciding factor for me. I wanted to get as much out of it as I possibly could and learn like everything that I could about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a couple friends who did some sort of special effects stuff, and I believe he went to the Savini school, but he poured a cast of my head in his basement, and it was just like I almost had a panic attack because I was just like claustrophobic. The straw started coming out of my nose, and I was like, I can't breathe. Yeah. I never really seen if he ever did anything with that, but then the other guy I knew, he was like making like dentures and like, silicon, like, different like plugs and everything like that. So, I mean, like, it's cool that you think that you mentioned like all the different avenues that are possible through it all, because I feel like if you say like, special effects, it's just like, zombie makeup. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's cool to think that it's such a big world.
Oh, for sure.
Now, I mean, you go to the Art Institute and you said you went for entertainment design?
Yeah. Yep. That's what it was called. It was up on the 8th floor with industrial design. So that's where like all of the shop equipment was, all the computers for 3D rendering, 3D printers and things like that. We had a mold shop up there, full sculpting lab, makeup room and all that.
Wow. And like, at that time, like, are you like, kind of nice at sculpting and everything like that? Are you like getting a handle on it?
Yeah, I had been pretty familiar with sculpting from working on it in high school. I'd made probably like three or four masks, like individual sculpts before I had moved up here to go to the Art Institute. So I had a decent little like short background in it before going up there. So I knew like the basics of sculpting and molding.
Yeah. And whenever you go there, it could just like, unleash you into that world.
Yeah. I learned how to do the special effects makeup with like the applying of like foam latexes.
Did you do some of that shit growing up, like making your own?
Honestly, I never did. I dabbled mostly with masks.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's interesting that I went the mask route with everything growing up with them. I had a big box in my, I had a big box of masks in my attic, and I would always go in there. Like it wouldn't even be Halloween time; it'd be so far off,
dude.
and I would just like put them all around.
I just
room.
pulled that out of my parents' attic like 8 months ago, and like all my masks stuffed with newspaper. I have an original Goosebumps curly mask, original like Darth Vader mask that's missing the plastic eyepieces, but
still
like
cool.
I remember like growing up and like Halloween was such a huge part of my life, and like my parents took us to like haunted houses, so like I was cultivated to be just like, that type of person.
Same.
And it's, I mean, like, I think about it now, and like, I was watching like fucked up stuff as a little kid, but my, excuse me, my brother was 6 years older than me. So it was like, he was kind of like a gateway into everything.
Oh, for sure.
All the, the Monster Squad is probably my favorite movie of all time. And like, that was at that point watching that, looking at the swamp monster, that's whenever I had that like realization that like, people make this happen.
Right.
And you're like, man, and if you still look at that all these years later,
it holds up well,
dude. That's 40 years. That's insane. It looks. I mean, the effects in that insane. Still one of the craziest looking Draculas as well.
Oh yeah, man. All the monsters in that movie were so good. It's
so like good.
The horror movie Goonies for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, what kind of stuff were you into as far as like movies and everything like that growing up that like was like fueling this fire?
One of the big things that fueled the fire growing up was for the longest time I would always be flipping through the channels and always land on the Sci-Fi channel.
Yeah.
And this movie would always be on, and I never knew the name of it because I didn't see the beginning
halfway through,
and I never saw the end either. I just saw these like fucked up scenes, and lo and behold, it was John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh yeah.
And I would see it on all the time, and I would just watch these people like mutate and like spread apart with all these like teeth and sinewy bone and shit.
Yeah.
And it just like, I was like, how is this possible? I was like, this is insane. This is so cool looking. And then, years later, I finally found out what that movie was that I kept seeing over and over as a kid. And now that's like one of my favorite, is like a staple for special effects movies, is The Thing. Like that is just such an insane movie.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of good ones that like still hold up.
Oh,
like
yeah.
American Werewolf, like that's insane.
Yep.
Like obviously it was Rick Baker's birthday yesterday, so this is timely that this is happening.
I know, right?
But so I mean, like you get through the Art Institute and like how long is that? 3 years, you said?
3 years. Yep, I was there from 2009 to 2012.
So do you just like immediately jump in and you're able to like get hands on with stuff?
You started off with the classes there. You started off with more basic things, like started off with sculpting, and then you had like a prop making class where you'd learn basic 2-part molds on hard objects. And then you just kind of gradually get further and further into like the makeup classes. You have basic makeup. Further down the line, you've got advanced makeup where you're doing multi-piece prosthetics, like what people would do for like good old age makeups and things like that. And then there was, like farthest down the line was your animatronics classes and
cool.
mechanical masks and things like that. And like, I never thought, like when I stepped into the Art Institute, I saw like an example of an animatronic head. I was like, how am I going to be able to learn how to do that? I was like, there's so many like motors and little trinkets in this head that make things move. Like, how am I going to learn that? That's insane.
Yeah.
And then, I get to the end of the Art Institute and I made this like full, like it was like a half-bodied jackalope character. It was actually this character here. This is a redo of him.
What's that name?
His name was Jasper, I think. Jasper Jackalope. Yeah, but the old one that I made at the Art Institute's no more. Like, I don't have the molds for it or anything. He was a little bit bigger than this guy, and he probably stood a little taller than Ted there.
Damn.
He had full, like, articulation of his neck. His mouth would open and close.
You don't have that anymore?
I used it so much that it kind of fell apart over time. We've got decent videos of it here and there, like skits that we had done. We, like, lit backgrounds and stuff and put him in some skits. But yeah, his underskull is just resting in my basement. It's just like a fiberglass, like skeletal structure. Dude, it's horrifying looking.
Well, whenever you're going through school, like when do you get to hone in like you do on like a typical, like a college? Obviously you're doing like general ed in the beginning, but then you're like, oh, I want to pursue mask making. Like
for sure.
Do you focus on a thing there? Or is it still just broad all the way through?
You still have like basic classes, or at least you did back when it was around. But you'd have your core classes mainly, and then you'd have like one or two, like gen ed type classes. Like it honestly seemed like the same classes you'd take in high school. It's like, why am I taking this? Like I'm here to do this, not this. Like
it's wasting time.
I took this class in high school. Now you're gonna make me pay for it.
These formalities.
Yeah.
I mean, that's dope that you had a great experience at the Art Institute. I told Joe the same thing. I've had so many people on here, and I have been given feedback that I'd say 80% of people said they had a negative experience, and then you have like the couple people that were like, it was the best place ever.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's like you get out what you put in.
Yeah, you get what you make of it. Absolutely.
So there were a lot of people in our classes that just dicked around all day long, and then there was like maybe like 2 or 3 of us that gave a shit about what we were doing. So
that are trying to like.
That's where a lot of that came from. But then there was also a lot of bullshit that was going on with the Art Institutes, like financially and things like that. And that's
slippery down there.
Ultimately, why they went under. But
so I mean, like you get to the end of your schooling, and like, what's like your next chapter looking like? Like, what are you looking to do for a job?
Luckily, I wanted to continue to pursue this, and like I was full like hell-bent on just doing it myself if I couldn't land a job somewhere, just going off on my own and trying to do it.
Well, what does that mean? Like, pursuing doing this, like, is that like you like outsourcing, like, hey, I'm a designer and a creator for like production companies and stuff like that? Like, what does that look like really?
It's a little bit of everything. Like commissions come from everywhere, and like starting off.
Good point. You said the band, place things like that, like commissions like that.
Yeah. Like while I was in high school, since I started making masks in high school before I went to the Art Institute, I had kind of started to generate a name for myself on the online community. So the entire time I was at the Art Institute, I was selling masks online.
Oh, cool.
So I'd kind of started to generate a small following over those few years while I was at the Art Institute. So I would just pick up random commissions here and there, like custom mask sculpt here, like you want a copy of one I've already got here.
Oh, wow.
So I was just constantly trying to, look at different avenues of any type of commission work that I could pick up. And if I knew how to do it, I'd do it.
Yeah, why not, right? I've recently heard this quote that says, bite off more than you could chew and figure out how to chew it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And like,
I feel like that's a metaphor for my life right there.
I know, dude. And that's like really what me and my wife just been telling each other that. It's like, bite it off and figure out how to fucking chew it.
Yeah, I've been figuring out for a long time how to chew.
Dude, it's dope to think that, like, you know, because I mean, I feel like it escapes a lot of people's mind whenever you say like you're doing this back in like 07 and 08, because like, you know, now I can go on TikTok and say like, how do you pour a mask mold, or YouTube or something like that.
But it find it all.
It just like wasn't available like that. Like I remember the dude who was pouring my face was like reading out of his book, like flipping pages and shit like that. And you know, I'm talking like we're like super old, but it just was a different time
for sure.
So it's cool to think that like, you know, you kind of got this all started early. Now, I mean, like, what's like your first job coming out of school?
My first job coming out, I landed a job at Tech Shop, and that was over in East Liberty.
Okay,
and that's actually where I met Joe at. And yeah, I was lucky enough to land that because it was such a nice workspace. It was like transferring from the Art Institute shop to an even bigger shop.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said it was a great spot.
We had everything, access to everything. Had a full welding shop, full wood shop.
He talked about living there.
He did live there.
We talked all about it.
He was like,
I was living in the closet.
He had a cot that he would set up in the server closet.
I mean, I love that. I remember going in there one time, but I didn't do anything in there. But like, what did you get hired to do there?
I was hired on as what they called a dream consultant.
Love
and
that.
It was more or less just like a glorified shop technixon.
Yeah.
So you would be there to
dream consultant.
Yeah. So we were there to maintain all of the equipment, clean up at the end of the day every day, and we were also there to help facilitate people's ideas and help them guide them along with whatever it was that they wanted to create, because we were trained on every single piece of equipment in Tech Shop as the technicians there. So anytime anyone had a question or needed some brief help working on a project to help them get on to the next step of it, we were just there to help guide everyone, as well as, you know, maintain the shop, clean it up, and fix the machinery.
So you're working there and you're doing the commission stuff on the side.
Yep. Every time I'd clock out, I had a locker there, and I would just grab my stuff out of it and pretty much stay there the rest of the night.
That's awesome.
At some point, it was even 24 hours, so I would just stay there around the clock working.
Just grinding and stuff. So like, I mean, at that time, like what is like a realistic, you know, like I assume that these take a long ass time, obviously.
So much time, yeah.
So I mean, like, what is like a commission look like for you at that time? Are you working on like a few different masks at a time? Like, how many masks do you put out a year doing that stuff?
Dude, I'm curious as to how many masks I've ever made. Like, I would love to know, or I would love to just see one room with every mask that I've ever put out. Like,
like you see Savini's room with all those different masks. That would be insane.
It's got to be pushing like 1,000 or over. Like, I don't know.
1,000 masks,
dude, it is insane. Like, just in the past like month or two, we've sold 50 of these things.
Yeah, I guess like quantities of that. Can you pull that out of the bag? Can I look at that out of the bag? Definitely. Yeah, I mean, this is your newest piece?
Yeah. So this is one that we'd sculpted earlier in the year. So we title it Slice. So it's just like kind of a play on the Stab movies in the Scream movies.
Yeah.
So we call him Slice, and he's very reminiscent of the Ghostface character.
I mean, this is insane. like how long does this take?
The sculpture on that really only took maybe 10 to 12 hours. And then we made the mold in a few hours, and then we just cast up several. It. Yeah. So we've got, we made a master copy of this guy. So we've actually got like 4 or 5 plaster molds, so we can pull like 5 at a time.
Wow.
So we'll pull 5 at a time. They're all, you know, from the master. If the mold ever gets too worn away, we'll toss it, make a new mold off the master.
Oh, cool.
But my fiance, she's the one that paints all of these and almost everything that we put out.
Yeah, that's insane when you said
these
that.
Days, yeah.
Now, I mean, yeah, I don't know why that whenever you said that, I was like thinking like, it's like, oh yeah, all these masks have to be painted.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's like, you're not pouring different color shit in there.
I wish you could pull it out of the mold looking like that. That'd be so great.
But it was like blowing my mind, and I was like, damn it, why don't we need to have her on to talk about this? Because like, that like is things that I feel like, you know, people don't really think about. You know, people really don't think about that stuff. So, I mean, if you had to try to think of a number of how many just different masks you did, not just quantities, but like, you know,
like individual sculpts.
Yeah, like individual ones.
Several hundreds.
Yeah, like that's insane. So, I mean, if you're working full time and then you're doing stuff on the side, you know, someone approaches you for a mask, it's like, you know, do you do people approach you with designs or
Sometimes.
Yeah, and like I'm sure it's both.
Sometimes people have like a rough concept. Sometimes people just have like words written down, like, yeah, this is, a general idea for what I've got, and then we'll go back and forth. Like I'll do some concept work in Procreate.
Oh, cool.
Like a quick little sketch or something, show it to them, see what direction it needs to go from there, and then just keep moving forward.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like the process of a mask, like, talk me through the process of like making something like this.
Right on. So I'll talk you through this big guy here because he was a little bit different actually. I had to weld together a custom frame just to sculpt this guy because of the way that he's shaped and where his pour spout would need to be in the back of the neck and everything. So starting from the beginning, I made a sketch of him, figured out what I wanted him to look like. And then I blew that sketch up to the size that I wanted it to be, printed it out, put it on some cardboard. And then I figured out the wire framing that I wanted to do for him, welded together the wire framing at Tech Shop, mounted it on a pipe and flange base and like made it real weighted because I knew I was going to have a lot of clay on it. And then I started to, build my clay on top of my wire frame and everything. Got the full sculpt done. This guy probably took like a few weeks to do because of his size and everything. And then I just made a 3-part mold of that guy. So I had a front part of the mold and then 2 back pieces of the mold here. And then once the mold was finished, you just take the mold apart, dig all of the sculpture out of the mold. All that hard work that you did is now a ruined sculpture, but at least you got the negative of it.
Do you have to do that for every one?
Yep.
You just ruin the clay.
Oh yeah, the clay is just like, the clay's still probably usable. You can re-wet it, like put it in a bucket and re-wet it.
Yeah, but like, that's crazy.
But the sculpture is gone.
I'm just thinking of like, Mrs. Doubtfire, whenever he's pulling this, it looks perfect.
Yeah.
So you pull that out and you destroy it, and then what?
You get it all cleaned out and everything, scrub out the mold, make sure there's no excess clay in there, and then you paint in a few beauty layers of latex, and then you put it all together, pour in your latex, and you can either dwell it, like completely fill that mold full and let it sit for about an hour or so and then dump it back out, or you can rotocast it, pour a little bit in, make sure it hits everything, and then dump the excess out. But for that guy, I had to put 3 different layers of latex in him just to make sure he would hold his own shape with how big he is. And then, you pull it out of the mold. It's got a seam line on it anywhere that the mold came together. So you go through, trim the seam line, Dremel the seam line down, clean up your blank copy there, wash it off in the sink with some soapy water and whatnot, let it dry out, and then you're pretty much ready to start painting after that. You can put on your base coats. There's even like additives to some of them, like these bigger guys, like he's got resin teeth. So for each one of these teeth, he's got an individual silicone mold for each of those teeth.
My goodness. Yeah. That is insane. So, I mean, like how much clay was that? How many pounds?
I think that was probably...
It's big as hell.
Yeah, it was probably close to 60 to 80 pounds.
Holy shit.
Several bricks. For sure.
Several bricks. Yeah, I mean, like that's such like a crazy, like, awkward shape.
Oh yeah.
It's cool to think that you build the frame out and everything like that to make it work. So, this guy you said was part of the Deadnecks.
Yeah.
Like where does that idea come to play?
So that idea just kind of like sprouted out whenever I started getting into the more like cartoony sculpts. Cause like I said before, I started off tattooing and I loved like new school tattoo art. I always thought it was like so wacky, very caricature-like.
Yeah.
Just looked like you were looking at everything through like a fisheye lens. So I wanted to take all those inspirations and put them in the 3-dimensional world and try that out. So I started making a few cartoony characters, and it just like the mask making, like I got hooked and I was like, all right, let's see what an entire world of these characters would be like. So I just kept snowballing one after another. I'd finish one character and get an idea for another one and just keep doing that. And eventually I just built like a whole family's worth. And then I had the idea for the show. So yeah, I've got a comic out. I've got issue 1 out, and I actually should have brought one with me, but I don't have any that I can sell. So I was like, oh, why promote something that you don't even have copies to sell at the moment?
So I mean, how many total characters are there?
Oh man, I've probably got close to 20
Holy shit.
different Deadneck characters, whether they're like main characters or side characters, and they're always growing. Like this is one of like the antagonist characters for the show. He's kind of like an asshole Bugs Bunny ordeal. Yeah. So
I mean, when did this start? 2013, you said?
Yeah, that's around the time I started developing the Deadneck stuff.
And like, you're making these masks, over them like however many years, and like when does like, how does that show kind of come into play? Oh
man, it was just honestly a labor of love because I wasn't making any money off of making these characters for a long time, and I just kept making them for myself because it's something that I wanted to do. And then after, so many years of me making some of these like cartoony characters, it started to catch on, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that's Jordan's style." I was
like, what were you doing with them? Just having them?
I just collect them in my house, and
just
I would
post them?
maybe sell like 1 or 2 copies here and there, and then just the mold would sit in my basement for so long.
Love that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yep.
Is your house just a little crazy with masks?
Oh yeah, there's heads everywhere, bodies, like figures, all kinds of shit.
So I mean, this show, like, where were you able to see it at?
I wanted to make it a live action show, kind of like what you remember Dinosaurs?
Absolutely. That's exactly what was in my mind.
I wanted to do it like that, and I wanted everything that you see to be a fabrication. Like, I wanted it to feel like you're watching a cartoon.
Yeah, but it was an actual
real.
Physical thing.
So like everything would have had to have been completely
like the
custom
tables,
made.
all like weird
tables,
and like
glasses, toasters, like everything. We had.
Why not make the most difficult thing in the world?
Exactly, dude. But that was a bit more. I bit off more than I could chew on that one, and I couldn't swallow it because I didn't have the manpower. I didn't have a team behind me to help do with this. It was honestly myself, my friend Aaron, and then Joe for a while. Us 3 just doing like photo shoots, trying to put together video and stuff.
So you guys were like acting out and recording videos with these?
Yeah. We were putting on costumes, and like Joe would film us while we were in the costumes, and like, I don't know, man, it was hard to direct things while being inside of things.
Yeah. So you're like developing just like storylines, and like you wanted to create a show.
Oh yeah, dude. I've got, and because that couldn't happen, like we did a Kickstarter and everything. We made, we got like 20,000 in funding, but after I delivered all of our rewards and everything, it had whittled us down to like maybe like 6 or 7 grand. And then, and we lost our space after that as well. So we didn't have a space to have our set in anymore. So one thing after another just kept crumbling apart. And then it got down to the point where it was just me. Everyone is busy at this point, and we've gotten too far down the road. So I was like, okay, well, how can I do this on my own? So that's when I started working on the comic. And it actually took me like 4 or 5 years to get that comic finished, from the time I started sketching it to like the actual finished piece. But it starts the story, and it is telling what I wanted to do with the live action, but I've now moved it to comic form. And
did you grow up reading comics?
I grew up skimming through comics.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever it is with my attention span, reading, I told the story through pictures. I was like, I get what's going on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So a lot of the photos that Joe has done for us, we've used like as like inserts in the comic,
like panels in there.
Very Ren and Stimpy style. Like if you ever watched Ren and Stimpy back in the day, you would remember what they called gross ups.
Yeah, like the nipples.
Yeah, and just like the
hairy
boogers
nipples
and
and
stuff. It was
everything.
like a hyper detailed painting of what was going on, and then it would go back to the cartoon.
Hell yeah.
So like, you're flipping through the comic, anytime there's like a nasty scene, we wanted to physically make a portion of it and then have Joe photo it, and then we would use that as a clip in, the comic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whenever you were developing this Kickstarter, what year was this?
We did the Kickstarter, I think, in like 2016, 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably where I started seeing it, is like after the Kickstarter got out. So, I mean, did you create like an episode then? Did you have like a full episode?
We pretty much created a trailer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just like a very jumpy trailer of like random skits that we would
I feel
put
like I've
throughout
seen it. It's like a fever dream. I feel like I've seen it.
Pretty interesting. I mean, it's visually interesting, but we didn't have a lot of like verbal interactions going on, and it was just mostly like action shots of things happening, so people would get an idea of what the show could look like.
Yeah.
Once we actually threw the stories into everything. But yeah, after losing the space and our team of help and all of that, it had to go the comic route, and it's kind of still there now.
So for you to write this comic, was that difficult for you as far as like?
It's kind of something that's just like always been in my head ever since I started doing this Deadneck stuff. It's kind of like adds a new thing, and just keeps progressing. So like at this point in time, I have a full story for this, like almost 2 seasons worth in my head.
Yeah.
I've written some of it down just in case something happens to me. I want someone else to finish it or something. But for the first series of comics, I have 8 planned out. I have the first one finished, and I have the second one completely drafted out. So I just need to like bring the second one to life. And the cool thing is like they're all interconnected in a fun way. Like there are so many like weird Easter eggs hidden throughout the first one that interconnect into the second one, into the third one, into the fourth one. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And I want to interlock so many like cool things, but it's like fun Easter eggs like that. And like, there's a lot of fun throwbacks to it as well. Like you'll notice things that it's like a throwback to like Evil Dead or, you know, things that I loved growing up. Like the first one's got throwbacks to Evil Dead in it. The second one's got like Looney Tune reminiscent things in it. This guy's in the second one. Third one's very John Carpenter's The Thing reminiscent. Fourth one's very Blob reminiscent. Like it just goes on and on. Yeah.
It's interesting to think about, you know, the structure of a comic book because, you know, it got to be difficult to be able to tell a story, accurately and, you know, descriptively enough to be able to get your point across in so little words, you know, but you have the, you know, you have the benefit of being able to like use these crazy visuals that you have to like help tell these stories as well. But
definitely,
yeah, comic books are so interesting to me because like, you know, I could read a whole like, you know, omnibus and it's really not a lot of reading, but you know, it does so much. So, you know, you deciding, you know, on comics to like kind of make this an outlet, you know, up until, you know, when did the comics start? You know, 2020?
Probably 2022. I think I got it out there. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, like up until then, you're still just like working on commissions and masks and everything. And like, that's really where everything was.
Yep. Actually from, when Tech Shop went under in 2017, I think. And I was on my own for a year, you know, doing the commission work and everything after they went under. And then at the end of that year, I actually got a call saying that there was an open position at the Savini School for teaching. So I actually went and taught at the Savini School for 3 years from 2019 to 2022.
Okay. I did see that now that you mention it. No, what did you do there?
So I was teaching the animatronics class. I was teaching the eyes and teeth class, like how to make the dentures and fake eyeballs and things.
Hell yeah.
I was teaching basic makeup with like life casting and doing like a single piece prosthetic. I taught a few sculpting classes. It kind of fluctuated in and out. Every semester I'd get like a different class here and there.
That's cool. Did you enjoy that? Like all the differences?
I did. Yeah, I loved teaching the eyes and teeth class. Animatronics was a lot of fun just because like there's so many moving parts and everything. It's just like so
that's gotta be
interesting to
sick.
dive back into it. Yeah. But yeah, I had a lot of fun there. But, you know, after spending 3 years there, I felt like I was losing my art a little bit. Like I was getting away from the Deadneck stuff and putting too much time in there. So I kind of, at the beginning of my last semester, I let them know that it was going to be my last semester so that they'd have enough time to, you know, find my replacement. And then after that, I just went back off on my own again. And that's when the first comic came out, was after I got out of there. I was able to put enough time back into it to release it.
Wow. So where does the comic live? How do people see that?
I need to get a digital copy of it out there because like I've got all the files and everything, but I was just so sketched out on digital copy for a long time. I was like, someone could download that and then share it with like 20 people, 50 people. It's like, then, you know, I spent 5 years for nothing.
You're not trying to do physical copies of it?
I've done 200 physical copies they've sold, but it's such, I have to drop like $800 to get 100 of them printed. So it's like an investment every time that I need to do it. And then like, you know, you'll spend that 800 and like, you'll maybe sell like 10 in the first like 3 months and you're like, fuck, I really need that $800 back. So yeah, it's tough, but I need to release the digital files for sure. And just like, you know, have it cheaper online. But, cause I think people still like the digital or the physical copy. Like if they have the digital copy, like they're still going to want to own it on their,
I have a sickness. I buy a physical copy and a digital copy. You know, I have a Kindle and I'll be reading a Kindle for a little bit with one book and then I'll pick up the physical of it and I'll read it a little bit. And I'm like paying for shit twice, but, you know, whatever. I'm supporting the arts.
Yeah, no, for sure. Man.
I think it's interesting though, because like there's definitely like a wild following for comics, you know, especially with like the unique type of horror stuff comics as well. So, you know, there's definitely a good way to do that. So, I mean, you doing all these masks and doing these commissions, like what other type of work are you doing? Like, I know you said you're doing, you did stuff for like Mushroom Head and that's super dope, but like, you know, what other type of like weird shit are you doing?
We've picked up a few movies here and there, like, you know, lower budget, like B horror movies and things like that. You'll see like on Tubi and Shudder and stuff. So we've worked on a few things like that over the past few years as well that just kind of like land in our lap, you know.
That's sick.
Out of the blue. And
is that like the hunting knife? Stuff like that?
Stuff like that just like comes up. So that was like one of the first things I did back while I was at the Art Institute. It was just like kind of some like bruise makeups and stuff like that. But here about 2 or 3 years ago, we got to work on a West Virginia monster movie.
Paradise.
Yeah. So that'll be coming out. I hope I'm allowed to be talking about this, but we went up for a premiere of it in New York a few months ago. Like we got to see like a theatrical premiere of everything, and
that's sick.
All the scenes looked so cool, man. It was. I'm excited to actually see it come out.
Yeah.
And get to share it with everyone, especially after working on it so long ago. But we did all of the special effects makeups in that movie, and it was like I don't want to like give too much of the movie away because it's like I don't know if I'm allowed to be saying these things.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like
don't worry.
Very like transformative type things. Like, so we did like stage makeups and like,
oh, cool.
We did different stages of this creature, and we got to do every single stage that led all the way up to like the final monster. We didn't do the final monster, but we did everything in between, and that was so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so we were out in the deep woods of West Virginia for like a month and a half, just working on this movie every single day.
Oh, that's a good clip. A month and a half is decent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know if you meant like, we did this in like 4 days.
Oh, yeah, no, we were in it for sure.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like you doing these, you're doing masks, you're doing special effects like that. Like, are you doing any other like, like you said, like doing like any prosthetics or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As far as like, like teeth and eyes and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for that movie with those transformations, they were all most of them were foam latex prosthetics that we sculpted on. We actually had to sculpt them on my head cast as like a generic form.
Wow.
Just because like we got very little time to prep for this movie before we had to go out and start filming it. We had like maybe 2-3 weeks
Jesus.
to go over the script and create everything and then go out in the woods and do it.
Are you someone that gets like stressed easily? Or do you like thrive under that?
I don't think so. I think I work better under pressure unless it's like too much pressure.
Yeah.
Then I might crumble. But no, I'm usually able to work better under pressure and get things done a lot faster. Yeah.
That's sick. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you ever like, get like writer's block?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. There's times where like the ideas just aren't flowing, but lucky enough, like over the years, I've jotted down so many like backed up ideas.
Oh, cool.
So like if I'm ever like at a point or a standstill, not knowing what to do, I just refer back to that and I'm like, oh, here's like 100 things that I could do. So I think my well of ideas won't dry up, hopefully.
Yeah, not anytime soon at
Yeah.
least. So I know you said your fiance does a lot of the painting now, but did you do it whenever?
Yes. Yeah. So I think all of these are painted by me, and then it was in the past year and a half that she started doing a lot of the painting. I ran her through all of the steps on everything, and she's pretty much taking control of it, and she knocks it out of the park now.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you creating these things, like like the Deadnecks. Like, do you just have these people will just buy these like these for sale?
Yeah. So we do conventions year round as well. So we'll maybe do like 3 or 4 conventions a year. Sorry.
That's all right.
We'll do like 3 or 4 conventions a year, and one of our big ones is Mask Fest, and it's put on by Horror Hound Magazine. And it's usually in Cincinnati, Ohio. It used to be in Indianapolis, but I've got so many supportive people that come there and
like
help.
What type of people buy these? Like, are they wearing these?
Big collectors usually.
Yeah.
So a lot of these will just sit on shelves.
Yeah.
I'll bring like an X-Acto knife with me. I'll keep most things like untrimmed to start off with and sell them untrimmed. So
and then
people
like
can't.
cut to fit.
So if people want to use it for wearable purposes, I'll trim it right then and there. But other than that, I usually start them off as display pieces just with all the time that goes into them.
God, I would love to be able to have the space to just like have a wall of masks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you remember how cool it was to like go in like the original Spencer's and like the original Halloween stores?
Yeah, dude.
Like now all the shit is just garbage.
I would just stand in there for like an hour, it would seem, just like looking at all the masks.
I remember specifically looking at, we were at Station Scare and they had a pavilion there that had like some pop-up, and I remember looking at this Beavis and Butthead mask, and it was Butthead, but he had all this acne.
Oh yeah.
And I remember looking at the zits, and it was just like so vivid.
Yeah, dude.
I remember all these things. So those are like the things that I remember probably like the most detailed in my life growing up is like masks and everything. Like I had this old like fucked up monk mask that looked like a demon.
Oh man.
And it's just like I feel like you don't see that going into stores anymore.
No, a lot of it's like crap it out as fast as you can, make the money, and move on. Yeah. People don't care, as much about the artistry anymore, and it's unfortunate. But like, I feel like in some aspects, it's making its way back because people are or they miss, the handmade nature of things, like especially with like AI on the rise. Like a lot of people want to see those handmade things coming back.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to kind of dive into. It's like this is like an old school like love. Realistically, like like you said, people could wear these, but like these are like collections. Sure. People collect it, but I mean, how do you? I guess it's really just up to the person. Like you want to appeal to the people that realize that this is not AI,
right?
AI, like,
even when we go to like shows still, like I feel like we need to make like a handmade sign, because people are like, oh, are these 3D printed? Like, did you download that? Can I get the file? I'm like, no, I fucking hand sculpted this shit.
Yeah, I know.
For like the last month of my life.
Nothing makes me want to leave a farmer's market or an event quicker than 3D printed dragons. Nothing.
It's like every other table.
Every table. You're just like,
got that.
Come on, brother, get out of here. It's wild to think of like, all these masks are just like, they start from clay. So realistically, I mean, you're a sculptor first. You got to be a sculptor first. So I mean, like, whenever you're not doing these masks, like, do you spend a lot of time like doing artwork, like regular artwork?
It seems like it never ends, honestly. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that the job doesn't end. A lot of people look at it. When I say a lot of people, there's probably only a select, amount of people that look at this as a hobby still. And I'm like, I work 7 days a fucking week. Like it never leaves my brain. Like I can't even sleep at night because I'm thinking about, the next day's worth of ideas and shit. And like, it kind of sucks. It's like a weird burden to have to work, round the clock 7 days a week, but it's also like, a blessing as well, because like I get to, create these cool things and like just kind of do my stuff. So I'm incredibly grateful to be able to do this, as often as I do. But when people look at it as like a hobby and everything, it's just like a stab in the heart. It's like, cause like I don't sleep because of this
blood,
stuff.
Sweat, and tears, brother.
No kidding. Like this is my life. You're looking at portions of my life right here.
What is like, what's like the most difficult, process of the mask? Like overall, like, is it the sculpting?
I think, I feel like I usually flesh out a sculpture idea pretty well. I don't have many hang-ups when it comes to creating the sculpt. I think a lot of my thought process comes in when it comes time to paint the first copy. Yeah. Because I'll sit there and think, and I'm like, I'll get the base coat on there. I'm like, all right, what do I want to do next? Where do I really want to take this guy? So I think I spend a lot of time on the very first paint scheme on a new character, just trying to figure out what it needs to be to make this character what I wanted it to be in the beginning. Yeah.
Like I love it. Like the purple shades and everything like that. It adds a lot to it. There's a lot of layers and a lot of depth to it all.
Thanks, man.
I mean, like, so when you're like developing these characters and you're making these things and you're trying to like interweave it all into a world, I mean, do you mentioned at the Savini school, you're like, I kind of, took me out of, this stuff. Yeah. Do you feel like working on other people's things has that same kind of effect?
Yeah. No, I left one place just to go through the same exact things where I'm at now. I take on commissions that aren't, my ideas to, keep the flow of money coming in so that I'm able to continue to do this. But thankfully enough, most of the commissions that we get are very fun to do.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Like you don't have to I don't necessarily think it would be bad mouthing it, but like, what's like a commission example of something that you got hired for that you didn't necessarily love doing?
Usually anything that's like more bland, like less on the creative side. It's like, I just need this made. It's not like, you don't want to put any fun twists on it. Like, straight and cut to the point. Like, I just need this made.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are the types of things that I don't have as much fun with. It almost like you feel the job at that point. You're like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But whenever you got a commission that's like something you're looking forward to and like you're losing sleep because you're thinking of new ideas for it, like those are the good commissions. It's like, it's fun to do that. Like for this band Mushroomhead, like I've sculpted over, I think 35 different original masks just for that band.
Wow.
It's so fun to like come up with new portions. Cause like the band themselves, like their mask idea is like all the masks are same to a certain point. It's a mouthless ordeal with this X face on it, but
and they just have like their own like flair to each of them.
Within the confines of that, you can change pretty much whatever you want as long as you have the mouthless ordeal and you've got the logo X face on it. Like,
how many people are in that band?
9.
I knew it was insane like that. So I mean, like whenever So first of all, like they hit you up for masks. Like, what's like a lead time on a mask? I know it probably obviously ranges.
I can usually do 1 a month.
Okay, yeah. So like,
along with juggling other jobs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I ask these questions that could just kind of conceptualize what goes into these things. Like, it's insane to think that every one of these are just like sculpted by hand. And like, I know obviously, where else would they come from? But
right.
I feel like it's not talked about. Like, people are just like looking at these fucking masks and they're like,
oh, it appeared.
Yeah, it just appeared. It 3D printed or something like that. But it's so cool to think that like you're just in there sculpting these things.
Oh yeah, and they go through so many renditions, like, and they look so different, like from beginning to end. Like, you'll have an idea and you'll spend an hour sculpting a different portion and you're like, I'm not feeling it. You just rip it right off and like, there goes an hour's worth of work.
So you'll just like wash ideas. Yeah, that was something that popped up in my mind whenever you were talking about the first paint scheme.
Right on.
Like, will you do a paint scheme and then like just like, this ain't working for me, and just kind of like
I usually
tweak it out?
See it to the end, no matter what it is that it comes out as, whether I'm, happy with it in the end or want to do something different. If it didn't come out the way I wanted it, I'll instantly jump onto the second copy and try to correct my errors that I made on the first one.
That's cool. So there's different versions of these things.
Oh yeah. There's so many different paint schemes. Like this guy, there's a blue one, there's a white one, there's several of them out there. I think there's only 8 actually of that guy before the mold broke and I had to discontinue him.
Oh wow. So this is discontinued. Oh my God.
He's the first one out of the mold.
I mean, is there no way to like use one of these existing ones to like, cast one of these?
If I would have foam filled any of them, I could have used it as a master copy and remolded it, but I didn't foam fill any of them.
And you can't do that after?
Not without jeopardizing some of the original shapes. Usually whenever you foam fill them, they're still in the mold before you demold it that way.
Yeah, so it's not like puffed out or anything. Oh my God, that's crazy. Yep, so this thing is 12 years old?
No. He is, I sculpted him back in probably 2016, 2015.
Okay, so still like 10.
He's still pretty out there, yeah.
Looks sick.
Thanks.
So switching back to the mushroom head, I'm curious about this. So like they hit you up and they're, like what was like their first like, commission? Like what do they say to you where you kind of like do this? Do they give you a lot of like, details on what they want?
It was kind of a slow build, honestly. Like the way it came about was like back in high school, I was going to their shows like on a regular basis. So I just kind of gradually made friends with a few of the members of the band back then. And like after that, it was like I'd make like figures for them here and there. I'd make a mask for one of their side bands, and then it just kind of like fell into my lap. It was like, all right, you want to make a few of the actual, mushroom head masks? I was like, hell yeah, I do. So I kind of jumped into that and, gave my hand at that and found myself, doing a whole set of them for them. And then, over the years, I've done one here and there. And then I just did their whole album cycle this past year for their new album called The Devil, alongside of their guitarist. Their guitarist also does some of their sculpts as well.
Oh, sick.
Joe Gall, yeah, he did his own mask for stage. He did their drummer Skinny did his mask. And a few others as well, like that they'll swap in and out of. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, they're all vastly different, but also the same in the same general.
And like, will they just say like, "Yo, make me a mask," and like you'll put your own spin on it, or will they say like, this is I want like this orange design type of thing like that?
It depends on if it's a character that's been in the band for a little while, and if they've had existing masks in the past. So if they are a member that's been there, it's more or less just riffing off of their old design and amping it into a new one.
Yeah.
If it's a brand new member, it's a little more fun to create that way because it's like, all right, let's come up with a whole new character here and see what we end up with.
Yeah.
This was one of my original ideas, and it was a bird skull inspired piece. And I had sculpted a version 1 of this back in like 2012. And it was just like, one that I sent off to the band for them to use for whatever, and it was worn by various people throughout the years. And then I just sculpted this one. This is the version 2 of the bird skull. I just sculpted that this year on my head cast for my own character mask when I got to play with them.
What were you playing?
I played in Columbus, Ohio at the King of Clubs, and then I played the very next day at the Agora Theater in Cleveland.
Yeah, I loved it. That was a sick place.
Oh, man.
What were you playing, though? Like an instrument?
I was on the water drums. So they have these
water drums?
Yeah, so they have these inverted bass drums. They have 2 of them set up at the front of the stage usually. And there's 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So it's just two inverted bass drums with lights underneath and then water on top of it and a pump that keeps putting water on it.
So you hit it and it sprays and you could see it.
As you hit it, it just like flies up.
My goodness.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
I had a blast.
I bet. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you said that you've done like some figures. What do you mean by figures?
Just smaller scale resin type of,
Okay.
More handmade, like what you'd see at the store of like action figures and stuff. Not so articulated,
Yeah.
more just like an art toy.
Oh, cool.
So I'll just like sculpt, whether it be a figure with outward arms or like more of like bust style. And then you make silicone molds of those so that you can pour a hard resin into that and have, instead of having squishy, latex pieces, you've got a little hard resin figure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, do you do a lot of work like where it's more of your like, kind of, typical, just like prosthetic type things? Like, do you still do like some of that stuff, or do you kind of like mainly focus on mask work?
I'd say the prosthetic work comes like few and far between, more so than any of the other stuff. Masks is definitely like the forefront.
Yeah, that's what you're known for.
Of it, yeah, and it's been like that since the beginning. So it's funny that it's followed me.
Did that stuff appeal to you growing up, like Night of the Living Dead and like all those like doing like that type of makeup?
I grew up watching like all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and like loving the wacky like. The things that I loved about Nightmare on Elm Street versus like Halloween and Friday the 13th is like the dream sequences, because like
they were
in a
weird.
dream anything could happen and everything was just so like out there. It's like, yeah, that clearly
like the
doesn't
tongue
exist.
in the phone and shit.
Exactly. So like that really caught my eye. I was like, this is, so far out there, like it would never exist. So I was always very drawn to that, and like any of the more like campy horror movies.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, where you're at right now, you moved down to West Virginia, you're doing all this commission work, you're still working on the Deadneck stuff, like what are like, what other type of shit are you working on right now? Like commission wise, like anything like
more stuff for Mushroom Head, new potential album masks for their next cycle, maybe new potential music video masks, or even just, new stage masks. So the Mushroom Head thing seems to be a pretty constant thing since I got back with them a few years ago.
That's dope.
And then on top of that, I would love to, push further into the second issue of Deadnecks as much as I can, because it's been on the back burner now for like a year.
Yeah.
Since I've touched those little sketches that I did for issue 2. So I really need to get back into that heavily.
Light that fire again. Now, I mean, like, as a professional that's, has a career with this, like, how do you go about like, getting work? Obviously you're retention with Mushroom Head and like you do all this other stuff, but like, do you yourself like, put your work in, you put your name in like the different things for like, movies and everything like that?
I find it just, it's more or less like a domino effect to get new work. Like the more that I work, the more work comes in.
Yeah, word of mouth and stuff.
The more that I'm posting about things, the more people are like, oh, maybe I want this done. So like, as long as I'm staying active, work keeps coming in, and I'm very grateful for that.
Hell yeah. So like, what do you do when you're not doing this stuff? Like, what do you do
that's a good question.
For your mental health?
My fiance and I, we like to go out and do like hikes and find like waterfalls and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So just like get out of the house and like quiet the mind and just think of something that's not work related.
This work. Yeah. Do you find yourself hypercritical of things you see in movies?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like I would imagine that you enjoyed The Substance. Like,
yeah.
Like that was like something very unique that like, I hate the world of CGI now. Like, it's just like, if it was that good in the Monster Squad in the 80s, it's like, why can't we do that
just
now?
keep doing it.
It's like, do not make me watch Transformers with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just, injected into that. I want the old school 90s version
for sure,
with
dude.
these makeups and everything. It's like, why do you think that is, why do you think that that's a thing? I would imagine CGI would cost more.
I think it's just, I really don't know, because like it blows my mind, because I don't know if you saw the Thing prequel, or like the thing that they came out with. It was like back in like 2011, but it was supposed to be like a sequel, but it was a prequel.
What was it called?
It was just The Thing as well.
Oh, I don't even know if I heard about that.
But yeah, like I had so many friends that worked on that movie in the special effects, like doing the sculpts and everything for it. Like all of the monsters and effects were completely sculpted, completely done, but then they CG'd over top of all of this physical work that was done, and it just looked like shit. Like, how are you gonna take John Carpenter's The Thing, which is one of the most notable like special effects driven movies, and turn it into a CGI'd piece of shit the whole way through?
Yeah.
Like, there was so little practical in that remake or prequel or whatever, and it's just like, you just fucked this movie.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For what it even is. Like,
that's the only time I really get like upset with like remakes and everything like that. Like there's been talks forever about Gremlins being redone, and it's like I'm nervous about it.
Yeah, like, how are you going to do that? Like, I mean, it better all be puppets, because if it's not, fuck you.
No, I can't get behind it. You know, I couldn't get behind it with that.
Yep.
So I mean, like, you hikes, things like that. Are you like a TV and media consumer? Like, do you watch a lot of stuff?
Yeah, just like in the evenings. I mean, even on in the background, whenever I'm working on things, I've constantly got either like cartoons or horror movies or just anything going on in the background, just as like white noise.
You're a big cartoon guy?
Oh yeah.
Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Yeah.
I see a lot of that coming through your work.
I should have brought one of them up. I sculpted the Ooga Booga face that Eustace uses to scare a dog.
Man.
We sculpted that as a half mask, and that's been a real popular one as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and honestly, Courage the Cowardly Dog kind of helped me with the formula for how I wanted to do the episodes, because even though Courage the Cowardly Dog those episodes don't relate to other episodes, like, it's not like
an interdimensional world.
Yeah, it's like you have a new antagonist per episode. Like, there's a new villain per episode.
It's like Scooby-Doo.
Exactly. So I wanted to do it like that, Deadneck style. That way you'd have all these fun new characters each new episode. But I also wanted to, tie them together so that it was fun in that aspect as well. But yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog was a huge inspiration.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Was there anything that you were like scared of that you didn't like I don't know, I was like scared of some movies, but like, were you like a kid that just like liked all the stuff? Were you ever like afraid of stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, as much as I liked and loved the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, like,
terrifying.
I was like, my ankles are gonna get grabbed from underneath my fucking sheets.
Yeah, terrifying stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in a good time for movies, for sure.
Yeah.
We definitely grew up in a good time for movies. So what's like, what are your goals?
Honestly, just to be happy.
I hear that.
Yeah. I just want to keep, doing this. I would love to have all 8 issues of Deadnecks out there. And the idea was, honestly, to put it in comic book form and use that as my pitch to a network to try and get it made into a show and get funded to, like, the legit route. So I was like, if I put all this into comic form, that it's all right there in front of them. Like, everything they need to see for a pitch is right in these comics. So.
This is kind of a tangential thing, but whenever you did the Kickstarter and you did that trailer, like, did you get to the point where you were talking to, like, homes for the show?
Not really, no.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's so hard to, like, get your stuff out where it needs to be and get it viewed by the right people.
I feel like that this is like real unique though, like that sort of style, like dinosaurs, kind of that sort of vibe again. I mean, is there anything out that's like that?
I apparently need to reach out to someone, or I've been hoping someone would find me through the grapevine and be like, I want to fund this. Like,
are you on TikTok?
Assemble a team. I'm not. I keep being told that I need to be.
You need to get on TikTok, no matter how much you don't want to hear it. And I look myself in the mirror whenever I tell everyone, just get it on TikTok. Because like, that's really so crazy how people just find, other people on there. It's wild. But obviously, still chirping away at, the Deadneck stuff. I would love to read the comic.
Hell yeah.
You gotta figure out a digital thing for that.
It's fun and quirky. Like, I hopefully in the next few weeks I can get a digital copy going. I don't imagine that's too hard to do, especially since I've got all the files like ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, put that together, ChatGPT it, put it together. It'll tell you exactly what to do. That's a wild world we're in. Now, do you find yourself like, ever making any masks that are not necessarily your style like that? Like, do you, like your standard, like something like that Darth Maul mask, some shit like that.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll have to do stuff that's more on like the realistic scale, or like one of the masks that I did for one of Mushroom Head's vocalists was like a very statuesque, like almost like Statue of David type of deal.
Cool.
So I had to do this like very chiseled human face, and like that was such a cool sculpt to get to do because it's so out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And like, after I finished that mask, I was like, man, that's like one of my favorite sculpts I've done, just because it's like so different from everything that I've done.
Yeah.
And like, I will find myself like trying to do like different things like monsters and such that's like more outside of the characters. And I'm like, I think that I've left my style out of it. And someone will be like, oh, I can totally tell that's yours. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So no, I do try to constantly escape my style, but it follows me very closely and it's hard to get away from.
That's all right though. It's it's your calling card. It's definitely cool.
Right on, thanks, man.
It's very, very cool. Very, very visually like striking when you see it.
I love pushing like the hard angles in like cheekbones and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love the like the sunken in cheeks. Like I love like the droopiness of it all. Like I just really I don't know. I like looking at the detail of everything. It's really, really cool. It's cool to think that like, you develop a process for the painting. Like, so, for these masks, like the ones that you do, like, the mass production on, like you said, you did 50 of these screams, whenever you did the first paint concept of it all, did it look like that? Like, do you kind of have it all hashed out in Procreate whenever you do it?
With as much time as I spend like thinking about it, like usually I'll be able to get what I want out of the first paint job, because I'll literally walk myself through it in my head step by step what I'm going to do, and I'm able to generate an idea in my head what that is exactly going to look like. So anymore, the last like 10 plus years, I'm usually able to knock the first paint job out exactly how I wanted it.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Are you a control freak?
Sometimes. Like when it came to working on the Deadneck stuff, like I had such a specific idea on what I wanted to do with this that I think that might have been detrimental to me a little bit in the beginning, because I was very selective on like who I would let like work on it with us and everything. Because, like some people will come in and be like, oh, why don't you just do it this way? I'm like, you don't get it. Like it needs to be done this way so that it has the outcome that it's supposed to have.
Yeah.
Like no shortcuts. So yeah, I was a little controlling in that aspect. And, my fiance, with her painting all of these now, like that's a big like let go for me, because I've never really let people paint my stuff. Like I don't like sell blank copies or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
I always want my stuff to look how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
So,
is that like a thing though? People sell blank copies of shit?
Sometimes, yep.
Yeah, that's
like,
interesting.
Artists amongst themselves will do like some blank swaps and stuff. And I'm honestly, if it's like with other artists, like I'm not opposed to doing blank swaps, because that's always fun to paint someone else's stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. What is your fiance's background? Is she, like painting?
She's in special effects.
Cool.
Yeah, she went to the Savini school as well. And yeah, she's got a background in painting. She does a lot of like canvas paintings, and she loves to paint on vinyl records.
Cool.
That's a big one for her. She loves doing the vinyl records. So we'll find those at Goodwill's every now and then, and she'll whip out a cool painting on them.
That's awesome. Man. Very, very cool.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, down in West Virginia, there ain't too many people that are doing what you're doing?
Not really, no. I mean, there was another FaceOff guy named RJ, and he's like maybe an hour.
Were you on that?
Yeah, I did seasons 9 and 13 of FaceOff on Sci-Fi.
When was that? What years?
Season 9 it probably aired in like 2016, I think, and then season 13, I think, aired in 2018.
I don't know. I feel like that didn't come up in my research.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, whenever you do that, do you what's the word? Do you not advertise, but do you put an application in for that?
That one, they found me. Oddly enough, like
you had a pretty wild social media following, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did that start to kind of gain?
Just people kept finding me over the years. A lot of my following are like Mushroom Head fans and things like
cool.
that. A lot of like mask heads, like people that love masks and love collecting them and whatnot. So it's just kind of like through the grapevine, just grown over the years.
So what's the process of FaceOff? Like for people, explain to people what that is.
So FaceOff is a competition-based reality show where, you get X amount of people in there, and every week someone is eliminated from the competition, but you get a challenge where you have to say, I don't know, you get a prompt where for this challenge, you're going to be making this monster like this. You all have to pick a model, and you have 3 days to turn this person into this creature. And on day 3, we present them on the stage. We crown ourselves a winner of this episode, and then we also eliminate someone and move on down the bracket until we get to, the final 3.
So whenever you first did it and like they gave you your first prompt, like, is this just like, are you playing to the prompt, or are you like adding in your style to try to set yourself apart?
You've got to kind of navigate it.
Find that,
in an interesting
that fine
way
line.
because, you want to give the judges what they're looking for, but you also don't want to stray too far from your own stuff.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It's kind of like getting thrown into the deep end of the pool with not knowing how to swim.
How many people were on there?
I think each time there was like close to 15.
And you said that it's like, each week someone gets voted out.
Yeah.
How far did you make it?
On season 9, I made it to the final 5 people, and then there was a double elimination right before the finale. Myself and my friend Scott, we got eliminated right before the finale on season 9. And then on season 13, I made it all the way to the finale, and then got, I suppose, what you would call second place.
Damn, finale, that's dope.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no prize money for second place.
Yeah, I know, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get paid to do that? Like anything for that?
Yeah, you're
okay, good. Yeah,
paid like while you're out there filming it, so that you're able to take care of your bills and stuff.
Okay, that's
back
good.
home.
Now, was that like exciting for you to do that show?
Yeah, it was so much fun. Like the whole way that it came about was I'd gotten contacted through Facebook by like one of their scouts or whatever, and it was actually for a different show. It was for Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge, and that was a 1-season ordeal that they did on Sci-Fi Channel. So I went out to LA. They flew me out there, and I tried out for that show. And I got a call back maybe 2 months later. They're like, hey, you didn't make it on that one, but you should really try to get on our other show, FaceOff. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I like puppets and, making animatronics and stuff. I was like, I do makeup. I know how to do makeup. They're like, yeah, well, if you know how to do it, try out. I was like, because we're more than likely put you on. And I was like, well, I guess I got to do it now. So they flew me out to LA again. I tried out for the face-off ordeal. You got 2 hours to apply a full makeup on yourself.
What did you do?
I did one of
on yourself. Mm-hmm. Holy shit!
I did one of my Deadneck characters. His name's Soft Serve Merv, and he's like a blue ice cream man, just like a creeped out ice cream man. Kind of looks like the child napper from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He's just like got this weird long nose and this creepy face.
Wow, is that difficult to do it on yourself?
Yeah, I had to do a lot of planning as far as like how everything was put together so that I could overlap and seam things on top of themselves, because you're not able to have full 360 vision of things, so you can't like seam things down yourself.
So did you bring your own prosthetics?
Mm-hmm. I brought my full costume, prosthetics.
Wow.
I even brought like an ice cream tray with these 2 ice cream props that I made in it. And in those props, I had rigged up a bicycle cable to the underside of it. So while I'm holding this tray, I'm pulling these bicycle cables, and the little ice creams are like opening and closing their mouths.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what got me on the show. They put me on after that, and a few months later, I got flown back out there for us to film the whole show and everything.
Wow. So like you being out there, what do they put you up? And then what's like the day? Like, how does your day go?
So for Face Off, they put us up in this like mansion of a house.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. In Burbank, California.
Did you know a lot of the other people that were in there?
Not until we were there.
That's cool.
And like put into it. I didn't know anyone, but
that gotta be cool being around people like that. The same type of people.
We all became such good friends like so quickly, even though we're battling it out against each other to win this.
Yeah,
it was like being at like Special Effects summer camp for 2 months. It was so cool.
Wow, 2 months you were out there.
Yeah, the filming process for each of those seasons was 2 months.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. So you went out there, and you are in this mansion, and like, what's your day there?
On a day that we're not in the lab, just hanging out at the house was pretty cool. You just do whatever you want. Like they had like a whole cabana section that had like orange and lemon trees there. They had like a whole pool in the front yard, jacuzzi and all that. So
you had some off time.
A little bit, very small amount. Like you'd maybe get half a day each week, because on that day you'd have to go in and do your interview portions where you're like talking to the camera.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, just a regular backdrop, and you're like talking about what's happening in the moment while you're like watching yourself in the lab doing shit.
Yeah. Do they show you playbacks? And
they don't show you playbacks, but they've got someone that's connected to your mic throughout the week, and they're jotting down notes on things to ask you.
Holy
and things
shit.
So then whenever you go back in to do your interview portions, they're like, what were you feeling when you said, fuck this, blah, 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 blah.
Wow, that's cool to think about.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, but it was very much awkward for me, because it's like, how do you act like yourself.
Yeah.
How do you act like this is in the moment when you know it was like half a week ago?
So I mean, obviously, I mean, you being, you know, working with these masks and everything, and you being out there, like FaceOff is like, you know, isn't it more like makeup driven, really?
Yep. It's all very much like prosthetics, makeup, full body, like painting and all of that.
Were you like, you know, ready for that? Or were you just like, did at any point, were you like hesitant in that?
No. Once they said that I should, like, they were really pushing for me to try out for the show, I was like, you know what? I was like, I know how to do all this stuff. I did it at the Art Institute. I used to do, like, you know, the full body makeups.
But you really didn't do that
it wasn't,
much, right?
It wasn't my forte. Like, I enjoyed doing, like, the things that you could put on a shelf and display.
That's
like,
cool, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, I went out to do that, and I was super pumped to get right into it and start making monsters with everyone.
So, like, they give you a prompt, and they're like, yo, go make this, like, swamp guy. Like, is it kind of like the baking cook-offs where you have a big room of, like, props and everything, and you can just pick shit out?
Yep, we had a lab, and there were as many tables in there. We each had our own, like, work table or whatever that you'd grab at the beginning of the episode. Then you'd get your model's, like, head to work off of, the head form. You start your sculpture.
Oh, they already had someone's cast of a head.
So they had a whole slew of models that you could pick from, and they all had their head casts already done and everything.
Oh, my God.
They would randomly draw from, like, a hat or whatever which one of us got to pick our models first, because, like, You've been told the challenge. You know what kind of monster you need to make. Now you need to choose your model. So if you've got like this,
if you want like a gaunt ice cream guy, you want a tall, skinny, like
exactly, yes.
Oh my goodness!
You know, a lot of that plays into it as well, like getting to choose which person you're building this on. And one thing that really helped me out on one of the challenges on season 13 was like we had a sea monster challenge where we had to make a sea monster, and I wanted to make like an anglerfish monster, right? And I wanted this thing to look nasty and just like it could straight up shred someone. And I think I was one of the first to pick my models, and I picked this dude who was just like ripped, and he was like, I think he was a lifeguard or something like that, but it worked out so well because like I had sculpted a face piece, a head piece, and like a dorsal fin for him that was like real crazy.
Wow.
But just because this dude was like jacked and muscular, it looked like I had fabricated like a muscle suit for this dude. He looked like he was in a full creature suit.
That is awesome.
And I just like contoured and like airbrushed this dude out, and like it really like worked with the character so well. It looked so cool underwater. We got to put it in a big water tank and everything and see how they'd swim around and everything.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So you would spend the first like couple days like actually using their cast face and everything and making the prosthetics
for the sculpts
and doing it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And then on day 3, the model comes in and you've got 5 hours to apply the makeup.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Was that like crazy stressful?
Yeah. Application day was always stressful.
Yeah, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you like have any like things where it was just like complete mishaps?
I was fortunate enough to not have anything too bad happen to me on the show. Like none of my molds broke or anything like that.
Yeah, all I'm thinking about is the baking shows where people's cakes like
fall over. Yeah. I had maybe one challenge where I had to wait until the very last hour of application to even start putting anything on my model.
Jesus.
Because the foam latex headpiece that I got back had a bunch of steam pockets in it. Because we're making these things so fast, we have to wash the molds out and everything. So these stone molds harbor moisture inside of them, but that doesn't work well with foam latex when you're trying to do that. But that same night, it has to get ran in foam latex, so not all the moisture is out of the mold, so you'll get these weird steam pockets in your latex when you get it out.
Jesus.
And my piece was just filled with pockets, and I had to spend 4 hours just patching the foam latex piece, and I had to take all my stuff with me to Last Looks, which is at a whole different area where the stage is. And I had 1 hour to get everything on my model. And it still worked out really well. Like it was lucky enough that it was a cartoony character.
Yeah.
I basically just slipped this thing on her like a mask and just like, glued it down, seamed it down and all of that. And it turned out looking pretty good. I was in top looks for that episode.
That is awesome.
Fortunately enough, with not having to have 1 hour of application for it.
In the second season, you made it to the finale. Mm-hmm. Wow. What do you get if you win?
100,000.
Holy shit.
Which I imagine after taxes is like 67
40?
or something. Yeah.
Wow. That's quite a little chunk of money.
Yeah, that would have been helpful.
Yeah. In that moment, like, are you like, yeah, I'm pumped that I did this. Obviously, you're salty about not winning, but like, it was pumped about your work.
100% worth it the whole way. Like I looked back, like even being on stage and not hearing your name called as the winner, like I wasn't even bummed. Like I was like, dude, look at all this shit that I just got to make on someone else's dime, and it's going to be aired. Like,
cool. Is it just like top of the line shit that they have?
They got a lot of really good equipment, all the materials that you need pretty much.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's just like having everything at your fingertips.
It got to be cool because it's like, you know, you have a certain style and like you kind of like, you know, you could kind of tell, but like having those different prompts probably makes you like work different muscles that you haven't worked in forever.
And that's what I learned going back to do my second season, because I was a little stubborn on my first season. I wanted to keep putting my spin or my style into things, and that kind of screwed me in the end, because I actually got eliminated creating a character, you know, similar to this on my first season. Second season, I played the game a little bit better. I was giving them what they were asking for, like making sure that each one of my characters was so different from the last, and like so second time around, I had a better head on my shoulders, knew what I needed to do, and I had a lot more fun.
I'm gonna have to find it on like Hulu or something to watch.
I think they've got several seasons on Peacock, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. I loved watching stuff like that. It's sick.
Yeah.
Man, definitely a cool ride you've been on.
Oh man, it's been crazy. Like I just, you know, wonder what's next. I'm constantly like wondering what cool thing is going to come and land in my lap next, and I'm just grateful for all the things that I've gotten to work on, you know, up to this point, and you know the portfolio that I've gotten to be able to assemble over all these years of creating things. It's just like,
yeah, man, it's really like to see their shit in person is like, it's wild to see.
Thanks,
it's definitely like very, very impressive.
Hell yeah.
I mean, the detail's insane. But okay, so you know, I know that this is like your life's work, and at the end, I ask people, you know, like if there's anything that they think that I forgot of to touch on. But it's like, you know, I think it was pretty thorough. I
feel like we covered
a good bit,
good aspect of things, like everything that I can think of.
All right, good. Yeah. Well, we're not done yet. The ending segment that I do is an ending segment that I do with everyone called Desert Island Questions.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
So Desert Island Questions, whenever I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island and use until they starve to death and die. First category is 3 movies to take on a desert island. So if you have that little TV back there, getting a plane crash, you only get 3 DVDs for the rest of your life to just watch on repeat. What are they?
That's so tough. I'm going to have to throw John Carpenter's The Thing in there, obviously, because I've talked about it like 5 times now throughout this.
Yeah.
Another one, a staple for me growing up, and it's probably the movie I've seen more than any other movie, is The Goonies.
Yeah.
So I would probably have to throw The Goonies in there, and then
that's a standard.
The third one, man. The third one's going to be a hard one.
What's like a newer movie that you saw that kind of like blew you away?
I don't know if any of them recently have blown me away. I've been waiting for something good to come along.
Have you watched Weapons recently?
We did watch that recently, and I heard from so many people who were like, "Oh, it was such a slow burn. Like, oh, it sucked. I didn't like it." But like, I kept my attention the whole time. Like,
my attention. But the thing that really is doing us all a disservice is the marketing.
Yeah.
Where people are like, people are throwing up in the theater.
Oh my God.
Scariest movie you've seen in the last 10 years.
If you
like Longlegs.
Yeah.
Longlegs, it blew it. The marketing just ruined it for me.
Yeah.
They're like, it's the best movie ever. It's the new Silence of the Lambs, and you're like, this was a fine movie. You know, it was worth watching. Was it the best?
Yeah.
It wasn't. I love Nick Cage more than most.
I didn't even know anything about that movie until I watched it, and I had no idea that was him in that makeup. I was like, what the fuck?
Wild looking for sure. Yeah, there's not really anything like recently that like actually like, you know, kind of blew me away.
I did like the one before Weapons that same dude did.
Barbarian.
Yes.
So cool.
Because I didn't know anything about that going into it.
I don't watch trailers anymore. I haven't watched any in like 6 years.
Dude, they show you the whole fucking movie now.
I know. I can't do it. The only trailer that I did watch after reading about how perfect the trailer was the trailer for the new 28 Days Later.
Oh yeah.
Because it didn't really reveal much, but I ended up not liking the movie.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well not even call it. It felt like a money grab to just put it under the 28 Days Later name.
There's a lot of that going
around. If it wasn't that, yeah, I know it's terrible. But okay, so what's the third movie then? If you had to think,
it's gonna be. Man, I'm trying to think of something that's outside of the horror realm, but that's a tough one for me.
Yeah, it's because
there's a lot of good movies out there that I love that aren't horror movies.
Dude, Nutty Professor.
Yeah, dude, all those movies are so good.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna just have to land on Army of Darkness for me.
Perfect. Those are good answers.
Funny enough, it's like Army of Darkness was the first Evil Dead movie that I saw. Like,
Yeah,
I saw
me
them
too.
Completely out of order.
Me too. I saw them out of order, and then I watched the first one. And I was like, I don't know about this. Weird vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, so second category, I usually ask people books, but I'm going to do something a little bit different because I know you said you're not a big reader, but if you had a favorite character that you made.
If I had to name a favorite character that I've done, I'd say my staple for a character is named Pumpkin Patch Pete, and I think it's my profile picture for Instagram. So he's just got like a jack-o'-lantern on his head. He's got these floppy, like dopey-looking ears. I think that one resonates with me a lot.
Pumpkin Patch Pete.
Yep. Ever since I made him, I was always like, man, this is like the character for me, and it's been my favorite ever since, I think.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, third category, if you had to pick 3 CDs.
Oh, man.
Are you a big music guy?
Yeah, I am. I listen to way too much metal, though.
Now, whenever you said you performed with Mushroom Head, like, are you a drummer?
I actually
hobbyist?
Just started drumming this year, out of dumb luck.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's sick.
So, a buddy of mine, who's actually the guy who comes down and picks up all of the Mushroom Head masks off of me when it's time for them to go up to the studio. I did a trade with him for an electronic drum kit. And ever since I've gotten that kit, and ever since I first sat down at it, dude, like I am
banging
hooked.
away.
I'm so hooked, but I'm also very grateful that it is electronic. So no one else has to hear me banging around. But yeah, that's like one of my new favorite things to do. Like I just like lose myself. I'll sit down at the drum set and just stay there.
Oh yeah, I
love it.
That's dope. Okay, CDs. Like, what's the first CD you ever bought?
Oh man, first CD I ever bought was. I didn't even buy it, and I dumb luck, I found this CD, and I wanted it so bad. In 5th grade, I was on my way to a race. I used to race dirt bikes, but we were on our way to a race, and I wanted Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory.
Come on now.
And I was like, I want this so bad. Like I had asked for it for like Christmas or some shit. And we stop at like a McDonald's or something to get something to eat. And I open up my door and there's this CD laying in the parking lot.
No way.
Face down. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if that was Linkin Park? I pick it up and it fucking is. I was like, what?
That's the universe cultivating that musical taste.
Dude, yeah. So I like instantly put that in my CD player. I was like, man, this is a good day.
Okay. So, I mean, that got to be one of the choices just because it's the first one. What's a couple other ones that you love?
I am big on a band called Breakdown of Sanity. And they are a metal band, I believe, out of the UK somewhere. And they have an album called Mirrors. And that is just like, for me, that is one of the coolest metal albums
I've like Sweepy?
Ever heard.
Is it like Sweepy guitar?
It's very like, do you know what gent metal is? It's like DJ ENT. It's like very like chuggy and like double bass. They've got a lot of bass drops and
Were
shit.
you a show kid growing up?
I loved going to shows. Yeah. Yep.
Did you have like a big music scene down where you lived?
No, I always had to come up here or go to Columbus or Cleveland.
Yeah, it's tough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a great one up here. Yeah, it was that was unique.
One of the things that I loved moving to Pittsburgh for, because I was like, holy shit, I can walk to a show now. I don't have to drive 2.5 hours to one.
Every single weekend.
It was so great.
Okay, that's good. Now, so
Breakdown of Sanity.
Breakdown of Sanity. And what's another one?
Probably... It's going to be a Korn album, probably.
Come on. I remember the first day I listened to Korn.
Yeah.
Just talked about it with my buddies. There used to be this thing called, YMCA used to run it, okay? It was called the No School Fun Days. They cost like $5, and like it was on Act 80 days whenever you didn't have school.
Oh, right on.
My mom and dad both worked full time. They would drop you off at the YMCA, and they would do like 2 events. Like you would go to the zoo, and then you would go ice skating.
That's cool.
And the lady who ran it, her name was... I think her name was Susan Tricchini, but her son Joe was like her helper, and he was like, you know, he had to be like 7 years older than me, 8 years older than me, and I was just like, you know, sitting by myself on a bus, and he had to sit with me randomly, and he is listening to Rammstein. He is the first person who put me onto Rammstein, and then he let me listen to Korn because I liked Rammstein, and I remember thinking like, this is something that I probably shouldn't be listening to, but I love it. Yeah, man, Korn. Yeah. Unreal.
I would say probably like greatest hits album that way.
Yeah,
you get
greatest hits.
A little bit of everything.
Got to be greatest hits. Oddly, randomly, did you watch the Woodstock documentary?
I think I did. Yeah, where Limp Bizkit was just like destroying everything,
and then Korn comes on, and you're just like, this is literally an ocean of people.
Yep.
Gave me anxiety just watching it.
I can't count how many times I watched. There was a DVD that came with the greatest hits CD, and it was live at CBGB's in New York. And I can't count how many times I just watched that DVD in my living room and just wished that I was there in the crowd. I was like, man, that's so cool.
What? This is a random question. What did your parents do?
My dad worked for the city. He was like working for, like the storm drains and stuff like that, clearing that stuff out. My mom, like cleaned houses for a living for a good while. So yeah, like not many people in my family do
the arts or anything.
Yeah, like anything art related. Like my dad dabbled with it a little bit when he was younger with like sketching and drawing and things like that. And then my uncle is very artistic with like being a florist and
that's cool.
Things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of artistry here and there throughout the family, but
so were they like kind of sketched out whenever you're like, I'm gonna make masks for the rest of my life?
Yeah, it was at first it was like, well, how is this going to be a thing? But like they could tell that I was like so into it and like clearly put a lot of time into things.
Yeah, and
stuff.
you're putting out wild ass shit.
So like after my mom saw that like I actually had a passion for this, it was like, okay, yeah, let's look into the Art Institute and let's see how we're gonna get you there.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay. Next question. Best show you've ever been to?
One of my favorite shows is like, and it's funny enough because like I don't even really listen to them outside of their shows, is the band Guar.
Oh.
It's like just such a fun show.
I never got to see them live, but just for the spectacle of knowing who they are, I watched some of their shit.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Do you, I would assume they have their own like mask designers and that, right? They probably got a whole fucking team.
They got a few people. Yeah.
That's sick. Do you like know all these people that are in like this like world?
I do. It's a pretty tight knit industry. Like whether I know them personally or just know them. Yeah, like chances are we've talked online or in person or like met up, worked on something together. Like
That's
know
awesome.
A lot of people in the industry now.
That's cool.
It's like, after being in it for so long and just doing this stuff.
We're just getting old.
I know, man.
We're getting old.
It's so weird.
Decades under our belt.
To hear myself say that I've almost been doing this for 20 years is just like,
wild.
It doesn't seem right.
Well, you could tell, man. It's like I said, it's very impressive to see these. I'm pumped that you brought these over.
Thanks.
Next question, third to last question is the death row meal. So you get a last meal before you get put to death. You get an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. What are they?
Man. I was growing up. I was always super partial to, because everyone in my family hunted.
Yeah.
So I love like deer tenderloin.
Oh yeah, like a backstrap.
Yeah.
Come on now.
There's to me nothing better.
Do you hunt still?
I don't. No.
No.
My brothers still do. I can't kill anything, man. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like you watch all these horror movies, like blood and guts and everything. It's like I can't.
I killed one deer in my life whenever I was like 14 and shot it in the spine and it didn't die.
Yep.
And I had to dispatch it and it fucked me up.
Yep.
I just like kind of lost any sort of like interest. I've been gaining another interest for it now, strictly because like I feel like I would appreciate it way more.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I love the deer that are in my yard, even though they're tick infested vermin. But it's just like it's tough. It's hard. It's a hard thing to see.
Yep.
And have to jam a knife in a deer's neck whenever you're like 14, just bawling your eyes out. You're like, this is a moment.
I don't want
yeah. It's like myself and Irene whenever he's shooting that cow.
God, it just keeps coming up.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, yeah. So deer backstrap. What about an appetizer?
Appetizer. Oh man. I grew up eating way too many mozzarella sticks.
I knew you were going to say it. I even told Joe this. That's the most picked on here.
No shit.
Cheese sticks.
That's
most
funny,
picked. Dude. That is the most picked appetizer. Most picked main course is a steak and a potato.
Yep.
But what about dessert?
I'm going to go with, probably like some pecan pie or something like that.
Okay,
pecan pie is pretty good.
Cheesecake is the most picked all the time.
Oh yeah,
pecan pie. We had a crazy one the other day. I work weddings, doing some video, and they sent me home with a dope ass cookie box, and there was this like pecan cake pie in there.
Shit.
It might have been the best dessert I've ever had. And I don't know where these came from, and I didn't even know the people who they were, so I can't ask.
Oh man,
but it was like
whatever it was, I'll take that one.
It's that dragon that I'll be chasing the rest of my life.
It's not as good as that one, man.
Second to last question. You're getting ready to go on a road trip. You go into a gas station, get a snack of your choice. What is it?
Probably like a Reese's Fast Break.
Oh, yeah.
Or one of the Reese's Sticks or something like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. If you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? And if you could forego a loved one or like a family member or something like that.
Oh, man. It's going to get emotional here. I would just literally pick my dog.
Yeah.
My dog that passed like this past year.
I saw that.
Yep.
I saw that. It's terrible.
Out of anyone. Yep, I'd pick her.
That's fucked up. We lost our dog. She was 3. Very unexpectedly, cancer.
That's same here.
Yeah, it's just, it's honestly the worst feeling in the world.
Yep.
After you become an adult and you have a dog, it's even different than like the dog you grew up with.
Oh, 100%. Like this was my best friend.
Yeah.
The best friend I've ever had.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's really a shame.
Well.
Yep. And other than that, dude, this is the end of the podcast. I mean, like, I think we ended it on this heartfelt note. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting all misty-eyed thinking of my dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I can't thank you enough for making this happen while you were up here.
Thanks for having me up, man. It was so cool getting to hang out here and talk with you. Like, I love your basement. Everything that's in it's like
Appreciate
all the
that.
horror memorabilia and shit.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I figure you would appreciate that.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, I mean, before we end this, tell everyone where they could like find your work, where they could see everything, and all the rest.
Right on. You can find us on Instagram at Deadneck Studios, Facebook, just Jordan Patton, and hopefully we'll get a TikTok going soon. Deadneck Studios. Look out for that one.
Honestly, dude, you should make that happen and just do like process videos of masks and shit.
I've got so many videos in my phone. I literally have like 25,000 photos in my phone, and half of them are videos of like making this shit. I just haven't put them together.
It don't even need to be structured. It literally don't even need to be structured. People are just, we're all fucking idiots. We're just scrolling. Dude, you can't even imagine the dumb shit I watch on TikTok. Just get lost in it. But I personally would be fascinated to see anything from, you just sculpting to like how you're putting like, these hairs on there. Right on. Just any of this process is really, really fascinating to me, man, because it's really impressive. But
I'll definitely have to put all that stuff up.
You should. And you got to get me a copy of that comic. But other than that, everyone else that's listening, appreciate you as usual. Each and every week, we're back with another great guest doing great things in the city. Thank you for listening. Call you right back. There you go.
Awesome, man. That was great. Cool. Dude, I don't get enough good conversation living in West Virginia where I do, like especially with